And after a busy season football action, we welcome you to the finale of the 2026 2KU season, the final episode of the 2KU Weekly Podcast for the year. I'm Antoine Joy 101, joined again by Danny V and Pig Bear. For what you have in front of you, it's what we've affectionately dubbed the Toilet Bowl. The two worst teams, as determined by Danny, this season. We have the St. John's Red Storm and the East Texas A&M Lions. A little bit of context about both of these teams' years. East Texas, kind of a sacrificial lamb. This was the last year of the Southland in the highest level. They were not expected to play well. They did not. Finishing 0-12. Meanwhile, St. John's had, I think, multiple winless seasons. This season was not one of them, though. They finished 1-11. However, they did have the indignity of being the first FBS team in 2KU history, and only the second FBS team since the founding of the conference to have 100 points dropped on them. And that was in a game against a fellow team dropping down to the FCS, that being Rhode Island of all teams. There was
the most St. John scored this season was 31 points. And ironically enough, that's also the second lowest they were scored against.
Ultimately, St. John's, I wouldn't say the worst team on paper, but they were the most dysfunctional team this season. There was the 100 points having dropped on them, the at least having 30 points or more scored on them. Their stadium debacle
scored on by Delaware, 75 by North Alabama.
North Alabama team also going to the FCS. There's the whole stadium debacle. They got kicked out of Yankee Stadium and had to bunk with Columbia for a while. There was a very near moment where they dropped football altogether. The future is still to be determined at the FCS level. But anyway, with that context out of the way, how are y'all doing today?
I'm doing good. I just ate some ramen.
I had some eggs. Pig Bear?
I'm doing good. It's just cold. Winter's here. And scary.
Winter is here. I'm in a basement, so it's extremely cold in here. We're going to get things started, though, talking about where we left off, that national championship. Definitely something to talk about here. Oregon finally getting it done to get their second national championship all time with their win over Louisville. But the big question is that weird play call that Louisville made at the very end of the game. Danny?
Yeah, that at the end, Louisville, instead of scoring the touchdown, to try getting it within at least a reasonable field goal, they instead try going for a field goal. And then try going for an onside kick to go for it. They, of course, didn't get it, causing Oregon to win the game, but it was still very questionable play calling and something that a lot of people were scratching their head saying, what are you doing?
And you were the last undefeated team. Something I pointed out before we got on the stream, thanks to Oregon beating Louisville, Texas State losing the conference championship game, Nevada losing in the Fiesta Bowl to Oklahoma, and at the other levels, Campbell beat Montana State. You had UT Permian Basin beating Grand Valley State. And you had Laverne beating Mary Hardin Baylor. There, in the entire NCAA for the 2KU, there's not a single team without a loss. This has never happened before. Just an incredible stroke of luck there as there's a touchdown, East Texas. But let's now move from that into the final 2KU Top 25. Sitting at number 1, naturally, it's the national champions, Oregon. After being down and out with their loss to Washington, they rebound, got revenge, and made it all the way to the national championship and beat Louisville. At number 2, the Cardinals, dropping one spot. I would have dropped them a little lower, in all honesty. I think that they could have. I think they could have dropped more, but Louisville's still probably the best team on paper in the nation. Michigan, number 3, highest ranked team without a conference championship. They lost to Wisconsin in the conference title game, but they got that Sugar Bowl win over Georgia to get to 13-1. Number 4, Rose Bowl champs Washington, up 2 spots to 12-2. Number 5, winners of the Orange Bowl, LSU. At number 6, Fiesta Bowl winners Oklahoma and Big 12 champs. At number 7, dropping 4 spots, the SEC champs Georgia at 12-2. Sitting at number 8, unmoved from last week, the winners of the Peach Bowl, Clemson. At number 9, Cotton Bowl winners Iowa State, for the first time in school history, are going to finish inside the top 10. And we wrap with our number 10, down 5, the runners-up in the Orange Bowl, or the Rose Bowl, but the Big 12 champs, Big 10 champs, Wisconsin. Moving on, number 11, Texas Tech, finishing 11-2. Number 12 is Ohio State at 10-3. Number 13, South Carolina is 10-4. Number 14, Texas State will finish in the top 25 for the first time in school history at 13-1. Number 15, Texas, up 4 spots. Our biggest faller is Nevada after getting their first loss in the Fiesta Bowl. Our biggest riser follows right after, Arkansas up 9 after their win over Miami to number 17. Ole Miss dropping 3 to 9 at 9-4 down to number 18. Number 19 down 2 spots is Miami. And we wrap our top 20 with Nebraska returning to the top 25 at 9-4. At number 25, another returning team who was ranked early on, Texas A&M, is here. Michigan State also returns at number 22. They're 10-3. Our actual biggest faller is Alabama, dropping 9 spots after their loss to Michigan State, down to number 23. For the first time in school history, give it up for Pacific, finishing in the top 25. Not only their first time finishing, but the first time appearing in the top 25. The Tigers won the WAC at 11-3. At number 25, wrapping us up, the runners-up in the Cotton Bowl, that's 10-3 Stanford. We had 4 teams drop out of the top 25. West Virginia were runners-up in the Peach Bowl, as well as runners-up in the Big East. You had FAU, who we expected to beat Northwestern State, but they lost in the Boca Raton Bowl. UCF lost their bowl game to Texas A&M, and Marshall lost a classic against Richmond in the Camellia Bowl. Moving on, looking through the rest of that list, the next teams up include West Virginia, Western Carolina, FAU, UCF, Marshall, Richmond, Arizona State, Northwestern State, Temple, Fresno State, Johns Hopkins, Boise State, Georgia Tech, Cincinnati, South Alabama, USC, Appalachian State, North Texas, Tennessee, Wyoming, UAB, Oregon State, Tarleton State, Utah, and Columbia. 25 teams in, 25 teams out of the top 25. Any interesting storylines to point out, Danny?
Well, yeah, I mean, you got, of course, some teams like West Carolina and Richmond, who, of course, are leaving the SoCon and for greener pastures to the American, alongside with Northwestern State, leaving to the Missouri Valley. You also have teams like Stanford, who I'm surprised actually stayed in, considering how they were destroyed in the Cotton Bowl to Iowa State.
I mean, you are a 10-win power team. Oh, look at this. Big play. Look out.
Oof.
All the way.
Can he catch him?
Touchdown. St. John's secondary got burned there. I think the most interesting team in and out, it was really a debate. We knew we were going to get one non-power team in, or one new one at least. The debate was who, and I think of the non-power teams, Pacific was the one who made the most sense to be here. They played in what was arguably the toughest of the non-power conferences this year. FAU's conference championship was against a team that was 7-5. Richmond does have that extra game, but it's against an FCS squad. And this is against a SoCon that was pretty rough all year, where you had a team like William & Mary beat Wisconsin and then lose to Furman.
Hey, FU one time, FU two times, FU three times, FU all the time.
There's an argument for
Touchdown all
Northwestern
time.
State as well. I think there is a case to have them in. But I think the Southland was nowhere near as strong as the WAC this season. My big question for conference teams, or for teams in this runner-up for the non-powers, I don't get having Johns Hopkins here. Johns Hopkins finished the regular season 8-4 in a MAC that nobody wanted to win, and they only got there on tiebreakers. And it's not like they had a gauntlet ahead of them afterwards. They played Bowling Green and Drake.
Hey, don't disrespect Pudge.
I love Pudge, but it's not exactly beating a North Texas squad in the last week of the season in Texas.
Also, Columbia just vibing there despite losing.
Yeah, I don't know why Columbia is still here with the loss. And this continues a trend, I think, for the Ivy League. I'm pretty sure the one exception might be Harvard last season in 2024. But I don't think the Ivy League champion has won their bowl game since 2021. I know Columbia, every time they've won their conference championship, they lost the bowl game that they played in. The one bowl win they had was when they lost in the last week to guess who?
Who
Harvard.
did Yale play against year one?
I think
I know
Yale
year
played
one, the champion was
Colgate.
Yale, I believe.
No, Harvard was Colgate.
Gotta look through the archives.
I'll have to look through the archives later. Pig Bear, any storylines to follow from the top 25?
No, just a lot of teams going up and down.
I think what's very interesting is look at how many 10-win or above teams there are in the top 25. There are only 4 teams who don't have 10 wins in that top 25. Ole Miss, Nebraska, Texas A&M, and Alabama. The rest, you have 10 or above. That's a sign of a lot of really good teams. I'm going to move on now. Let's talk about... I'm going to skip to page 3 here and talk about our award winners this season before we get to the All-Americans. Starting off, we already announced this back in December, our Heisman Trophy winner, Washington's Daniel Gerardo. Junior quarterback, dazzled all year with his throwing power. For other awards through the year, we had the Maxwell Award for overall player. That went to A.J. Carpenter of Louisville. He was the quarterback for the Cards. We saw him in the championship game. The Doak Walker Award for best running back went to Cole Lefebvre of Arizona State. We saw him back in week 0. Davey O'Brien Award for best quarterback. Daniel Gerardo won that. Second piece of hardware that night. And he'd get his third with the Walter Camp Award. The Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. That's for the best senior quarterback in the country. This was a tough field, but Tony Moore of Clemson took it home. Coach of the Year, we already also announced Eric Haynes out of Iowa State. He punctuated that with a win in the Cotton Bowl. The Fred Bolitnikoff Award went to Conrad Hoffman of Washington. The senior receiver was part of that dynamic duo in the passing game. The John Mackey Award went to Louisville's Hector Summer, a senior tight end who's going to make scouts real proud come April. Outland Trophy for best lineman. That going to Stephon Donald out of Oklahoma, another talented senior. The Lombardi Award for the best defensive player of the year. Nico Lotulelei won a bunch this year, and this was his first piece of hardware, the junior out of Oregon. He was a defensive end. Remington Trophy for best interior lineman. That went to Antonio Kaufman, the center from Georgia. Chuck Bednarik Award Lotu Lele from Oregon won that as well. The Bronco Nagurski Award, also for Best Defensive Player, that went to Marty Chung, a defensive back out of Iowa State. The sophomore has a lot more football to play. Dick Butkus Award went to a true freshman, that being Nicodem Carrasco out of Georgia. Best linebacker in the land. Jim Thorpe Award for Best Defensive Back, that went, of course, to Marty Chung of Iowa State. Lou Groza Award, friend of the show, BD3, for that 68-yarder against Arizona State. The junior kicker took that home. The Ray Guy Award, Vernon Parent out of Michigan was voted the best punter in the land. It's his second time taking home the award. Ted Hendricks Award, that went to Nico Lotu Lele out of Oregon, his third piece of hardware that night. The Campbell Trophy for the best academic player of the year, that went to Tashawi Christensen, junior quarterback out of Johns Hopkins. The Frank Boyles Award goes to the best assistant coach in the nation. We already saw Eric Haynes of Iowa State take it, or take Coach of the Year. How about his brother John Haynes taking it as the defensive coordinator for the Iowa State Cyclones? The Lott Impact Trophy goes to the best player, regardless of position in the country, and that went to Nicodem Carrasco out of the linebacker from Georgia. The first true freshman to take home that award. The Paul Hornung Award goes to the most versatile player in the nation every year. This year it went to Cole Lefebvre of Arizona State. Fittingly enough, the last player to win that award was Dominic Dreschner from Columbia. And that was where Lefebvre transferred from. At least transferred from the Ivy League. And we'll wrap with the Eddie Robinson Award for the best coach, or for the coach of the year in the FCS. And this was already locked up before he even won the national championship, but Gary Nicholson, head coach of Campbell, takes that home. This is actually his final year with the Camels. He might be heading up to the FBS, and there are definitely some teams who would love his services. See where he ends up going. All right. And from there, we'll talk about our All-American class. Starting off at quarterback, we have Daniel Gerardo, Heisman Trophy winner. No big surprises there. At running backs, you have the two best backs in the land, Daniel Anderson of Oklahoma and Cole Lefebvre of Arizona State. At wide receiver, we have two guys, Conrad Hoffman out of Washington and Yancey Forrest from Clemson. Hector Summer was tight end, won the Mackey Award, and naturally he's our All-American tight end. On the line, you have Chris Haywood, the left guard from Alabama, John Linville, left tackle out of Michigan, Antonio Kaufman, center from Georgia, Kyle Sempers, right tackle out of South Carolina, and Stephon Donald, the right guard out of Oklahoma. On the defensive side of the ball, Nico Lotulelei, naturally, is one of our defensive ends out of Oregon. The other one, Truman Winters out of South Carolina. They're joined by a very SEC-heavy defensive field, which also includes defensive tackles Brant Howland of LSU and Raven Windham from Alabama. Nicodem Carrasco out of Georgia gets the spot as a linebacker, as does Kenyon Henryson from Nevada and Joey Soler from Miami. Our four defensive backs, Marty Chung out of Iowa State, Byron Hawking of Texas, and Fisher Badcock out of Texas Tech, lead a Big 12 heavy secondary, joined by Alonzo Thurston of LSU. On special teams, you have kicker Bergerdog III of Dave Show and Vernon Parent from Michigan at punter. And we wrap up with our return man of the year. That's Drew Strong out of Nichols. Nichols' first ever All-American. And that wraps up the hardware we're handing out tonight. Anyone you want to shout out, Danny?
I want to shout out the Maxwell Award. Love myself some running backs. After all, since my fictional character in this universe is a former running back now head coach of Fort Lauderdale. But definitely love to see all these guys compete and these guys win. Great job.
Pig Bear, any thoughts?
Shout out Burger Dog the Third. The legacy continues.
As it does.
Yeah, son to Burger Dog the third, other third.
And we're gonna continue this show. We have a bit of breaking news outside of a bit of breaking news outside of the football scope. This is going to have some effects on the basketball side of 2KU. This has been a developing story we've been following. The Metro Conference, this sort of new super conference of mid-major schools held by A10 teams, Memphis and East Carolina. They joined last season as they began their transition into Big East football membership. However, it was kind of clear from the get-go that Memphis, East Carolina didn't really feel like they belonged in the A10. And this always felt like a temporary spot before they could get a big opportunity. So they are the ones spearheading this new Metro Conference. They're joined by the A10 Xavier, who has been one of the winningest teams in that conference. They actually got quite a few strong teams out of the Missouri Valley. You have Wichita State and Creighton, who have been the most dominant teams in the conference over the past decade. They got Butler, St. Louis as well. And they actually nabbed some teams from the Big East, namely Marquette and DePaul. That got them to 9 members. We've actually received rumors that a fellow A10 squad in Dayton will be joining them. And looking at that field, that's 10 teams. And these are some of the most dominant teams outside the power schools in recent memory. It feels like this conference wants to be a power. They want to be similar to the Conference USA. They want to be a wrench in the system. They want to create teams like a Louisville or a Cincinnati. And you got to think, where does this conference go after year one with this squad of teams? Danny, what do you think the future holds for this conference?
I definitely do think they're going to at least compete as their 10 for a while, but I do think it won't be long before they expand again, maybe to try to get to 12. Now, who could be those 12 teams? I'm not sure exactly just yet, but of course, there are several different strong teams like VCU and several others who have been contenders in their own respective conferences who may want to take a little jump in prestige if the opportunity comes up. But also to see how they will operate in all the other sports besides basketball as well.
Mm-hmm. There are a couple of very intriguing candidates, I think. VCU, you did mention. I feel like it's not going to be a move that VCU wants. This was a team who was approached with this idea and rejected it. I think right now, being with schools like Richmond, teams like St. Joe's, as well as resurgent basketball squad like St. Bonaventure or Fordham or UMass even. I think right now VCU is where they want to be. And with teams like without having to deal with teams like Xavier and Dayton, I feel like their prospects are even stronger moving forward. So I feel like them jumping to this conference, I don't think is something they feel the need to do. And I feel like, if anything, this Metro Conference is gonna look for bigger brands. I think the most intriguing options come out of the Conference USA. You have quite a few teams that do feel kind of out of place in this current Conference USA. You have Southern Miss, you have UAB, Marshall as well, and potentially an original Metro member, Charlotte. You do have ECU in the conference. The Pirates have a lot of history with the 49ers. I think that's an interesting place to go from. There was a bit of a rumor that they were going to try a long shot to get Louisville and Cincinnati into the conference. With Louisville's run to the conference championship this year, or the national championship this year, I think this is even less likely than it might have been. But I think right now them going south or west is the most interesting option. I could see them potentially trying to lure Loyola out of the Missouri Valley, because that's the biggest brand in the MVC that they didn't get. I guess because they thought it would be a bit redundant with DePaul in the Chicago market.
Mm-hmm.
But there are definitely a lot of intriguing directions to go. Pig Bear, you have any thoughts?
This is a 3 or 4 bid league. Just naming off those teams alone. Here and this
Fumble.
is going to be really one of the more competitive basketball conferences to look at.
Mm-hmm. And you think about other sports as well. St. Louis, Wichita, Creighton. These are very talented baseball squads. St. Louis, one of the more talented soccer squads as well. This is not
East
just
Carolina.
This is not just a basketball power. This could be a proper power conference if this actually manages to get its footing and hold around. And there were rumors that should at some point Rice and Tulsa want out of their SEC deal, Tulane might end up following. Imagine that. Imagine this upstart poaching from the SEC of all places. I feel like at that point you could start thinking about football.
Yeah.
Wichita State has a football program in the 2KU. They're playing the Missouri Valley. You have Memphis, East Carolina, of course. FCS squads like Dayton and Butler. If you nab a team like Southern Miss or UAB, as well as potentially that Rice, Tulane, Tulsa thing that was rumored, there's something there, I think. Keep an eye on this Metro Conference for the future.
Personally, I don't think the SEC teams will leave because that's too much money unless the SEC forces them out, but
Just
it would definitely be an interesting spot for them to land.
Mm-hmm. This is an SEC. You also got to think that's been in turmoil the past few years with the Alabama scandal still fresh on people's minds. We'll see how this plays moving forward. The 10 teams currently that we mentioned, Marquette, DePaul, St. Louis, Butler, Wichita, Creighton, Xavier, Memphis, ECU, and Dayton, are set to play their first season of ball in 2026. So after this season, they'll move on. But that'll do it for us here today, unless we have anything else to share before the new season. We do.
Oh yeah, but we do.
Of course we do.
All
We
right.
have the 2KU Manning Challenge, freshly renamed in its second season.
Basketball and baseball coming at some point.
Yeah, we do have basketball stuff later in the year. Touchdown East Texas. You said you even these teams, right?
Yes.
But 2KU
That's
Manning.
how bad St. John's is.
The 2KU Manning Challenge is our off-season tournament, an exhibition thing just for fun that we do exclusively on the 2KU Discord server. It's made up of 12 teams like the current playoff format. The top 4 conference champions get automatic buys, as well as games hosted in the next 3 best teams, as well as the best non-power team getting to host a game. We'll get this started. Our number 1, these were determined by the rankings before the bowls. So as such, Louisville is your number 1. They'll be playing in Glendale, getting the winner of number 8 Nevada and number 9 Clemson. That game is in Reno.
We didn't do based on after.
We did it before last year as well.
Thought we did after. Oh well. I know last year was also an 18 playoff, so it has expanded since.
Number 8 Nevada, number 9 Clemson. That's where we start. Moving on. Number 4 Oklahoma will be sitting in Atlanta, waiting on the winner of number 5 Michigan and number 12 South Carolina. By the way, these aren't based on the actual rankings currently, they're just seeds. The game between the Wolverines and Gamecocks is in Ann Arbor. Also in the bracket, we have number 2 Oregon waiting in Miami. They'll get the winner of number 7 LSU and number 10 Washington. We wrap with Georgia waiting in Arlington. They're the number 3. They get the winner of number 6 Wisconsin and number 11 Iowa State. So let's go through those matchups, starting with our Nevada Clemson game. The game being in Reno is very intriguing. I like this Nevada team. I think they can take advantage of the weaknesses we saw in Clemson this year and get themselves onto the next round. I feel like also Nevada will feel like they're playing for more than Clemson is, so they're going to fight harder in this one. Give me the Wolfpack. Danny?
Give me Clemson to win this one. I think Clemson has enough firepower, but it will be a fun atmosphere at least.
Pig Bear?
I think Clemson will get the upset here, if it's really an upset.
I wouldn't call it an upset. Michigan, South Carolina from Ann Arbor. That Ann Arbor atmosphere in these conditions, it's going to be a brutal game. It's going to be cold as all hell. Give me Michigan to win this one. I think they're going to win handily. Danny?
Yeah, give me Michigan to win this one easily.
Pig Bear?
South Carolina got lucky. They bought plays like they did in real life. Give me Michigan.
Number 7 LSU, number 10 Washington from Baton Rouge.
And they bought those plays from Michigan. That's the funny thing, to beat Clemson and Tennessee in 2022.
Yeah, LSU, Washington, and Baton Rouge. I think this Washington team is a lot better than their current seeding would imply. I like the Washington Huskies to win this one. Danny?
Yeah, give me. As much as I think Washington's good, I think LSU is a lot better, so give me the Tigers.
Pig Bear?
Give me LSU.
Okay. We'll wrap with Wisconsin, Iowa State. Give me the Cyclones. They've been an incredible story this year, and I think their story will continue on after this. I think they're a dark horse in this playoff system. Give me the Cyclones winning this. Danny?
Give me the Badgers to jump around.
Pig Bear?
Give me Wisconsin.
All right, we'll wrap up with who we think is going to win and who's going to be runner-up in the Challenge Finals. Right now, in that top bracket, I think I like Michigan. I think Michigan makes it all the way to the finals. I think out of the bottom bracket, I think I like Oregon. I think Oregon beats Michigan in the Challenge Final in Vegas. Danny?
Give me Michigan to play against Oregon. I'm really liking this matchup, and I think Oregon's going to win it all.
Pig Bear, send us home.
Give me Louisville getting their revenge of sorts and winning the Manning Challenge.
Mm-hmm. Who do you have winning over?
Let me look at the bracket real quick. Georgia, the true national championship we were supposed to have.
Over Georgia. That will do it for us here. You can check those scores out on the Antoine Joya 101 Discord server. Folks, it's been a blast this year. I'm so happy to have had y'all watching. I want to thank Danny and Pig Bear for helping making this possible. Another season as we now celebrate 5 years of the 2KU as we have turned into 2026. We have a lot in store from August. We have some other things we'll have as well. Of course, March Madness. When that rolls around, we'll have our yearly sim of that. Maybe some other things a little more impromptu.
World Cup year.
It is World Cup year. Mayhaps.
We also have the Super Bowl coming up.
Super Bowl is coming up. Maybe y'all should check in on FIFA. for the World Cup. But for now, I think that'll do it. We're going to be, of course, the 2KU will be taking our off season. We'll be back in July as we start ramping up
for you guys.
As we start ramping up for the pre-show. Of course, we'll be busy, or of course, I'll be active with the other projects I have going on the main channel. Other stuff as well. But for now, for all the football fans who aren't here for any of the other stuff, that'll do it for us here. Thank you all so much for watching. Thanks for a fantastic season. And one more time in 2025,